Hello and welcome. My name is Kina Kay. This is an important message, breaking news. Um, there's a lot of scary stuff going on right now in the world, and some people are willing to start World War III over it. I'd like to give you some history on this topic, and in my investigations and all of the almost 3 days, I've been woke nonstop, crying constantly at times. And I found out, at least this is me, and I'm not going to say allegedly, what happened in Israel. Actually, it wasn't even Israel. It did not go all the way into Israel. It was the settlements. It was actually um, allowed to happen. So, in actuality, it was a sacrifice. Um, there was a report from an Egypt individual from the country of Egypt stating that they warned him. And not only that, I became very suspicious. And within my own country, I wondered who was the corporate because I kept feeling like there was some infiltrators in our government, considering the news would not tell us the truth. But basically, it was confirmed that yes, that Egyptian representative and or citizen was telling the truth, and there's no way anyone can get me to believe that their systems just didn't work or all of their allies. It was in fact a sacrifice, and it's sad. And I like to um, give my condolences to the uh, Jews and the Palestinians. So we'll go into the history of how a lot of this begins, or why it is the way it is, even for this person that is not so easy to comprehend. Can you elaborate on that?
Okay. By the earliest books and the earliest chapters, Moses was directed by God in the Old Testament to leave the lands of Egypt and take the slaves to the land of Canaan. These would be Palestinian lands. In fact, what are now perceived as Israelites left Egypt and went to the land of Canaan. Unfortunately, over the course of history, and that territory being most likely the most besieged and conquered territory of the planet, the Jewish people found reason to leave and come back on many occasions, as did the Palestinians. When, as the Bible, as the Old Testament speaks to it, when the Jews left Egypt and went to the land of Canaan, they were readily accepted.
With open arms by Palestinians the
But
first time around. Now I'd like to go a
they
little
were,
forward.
okay, not
Oh,
yet.
okay.
They were loved to the point where intercessional marriages occurred. They made love to each other. They became one people. And again, over the course of history, that changed. Fast forward 1967, the 6 Days War. It came to a point where the Israelites, the Jewish, no longer wanted Palestinians because they had pretty much taken over their land. This goes in spite of the fact that after World War II, once again, the Palestinians welcomed the Hebrew, the Jewish, the Israelites into their land.
with open arms after the Holocaust, with open arms, not a question whatsoever. They didn't question it. They just took them in. And as a result, was that a big mistake?
Well, in my honest opinion, yes.
This is coming from a Polish Hungarian male. And it's interesting because when I look it up, how many Polish people died from the Holocaust, it's not even stating it. It's just bombarded with Poland Jewish person. And that in itself is wrong to my mind. You have to really say the truth about the Poles. And I'm thinking it's more than half of what you see when it does come up. But they're not even given that credit. Not even credit, but given that history is that even that is stolen.
We'll pass several other wars, several other conflicts, and
That
we'll
what
get to the current day. And once again, and yet again, the Jewish and Israeli people oppress Palestinians, have taken over their lands, have murdered their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents, their children.
Gelling little boys all the time, even mothers, they jail them, but no one's speaking up, and everybody's in fear. And there was things that I saw online that made me a little hesitant because I feel that in this country right now that people in the entertainment industry will look into you and find out vulnerable things about you and then use it against you. So even with me doing what I'm doing right now, they are essentially harassing and or trying to hurt one another. But funny, not even funny, but the messed up thing about it is the suppression, the racism that has continued to go on with this Nazi party, this terrorist state. They haven't followed one rule as to why they're even allowed to be a state. That should be revoked. And my solution is to send the UN military out there effective immediately. And if you agree, then definitely flood the offices saying, give them their state, go out there with the UN military and help these wonderful Palestinian people. To my mind, they're my people, and they need to let my people go. As far as the enslavement and the racism, I myself had to research certain individuals in my own community because I don't understand them. And in doing so, I found out that there were a lot of atrocities done to them as well through the music industry with horrible contracts and just pretty much raping them, never giving them any real foundation or educating them, just making sure they have their best well interests taken care of. But that's neither here or there, and I will definitely be working on some change or whatnot in reference to that as well. So stay tuned for that. Uh, where we want to take off at?
I would just add on that modern day slavery is atrocious, and the Palestinians have suffered it for more than 75 years.
And it's more than horrible. Can we elaborate or have you elaborate on the history as to why um, Europe countries sent them to Israel anyway? If I recall correctly, they were wanting to just get rid of them.
Yes,
Can you explain why they
at
wanted to get
that
rid of
point in
them?
time, it was a pragmatic solution because the Israelites were displaced from a territory that they had no right to be in the first place. And they were subjugated and resisted, shunned, and sent away from most of the territories that they squatted in. Essentially, they were the illegal aliens, and they
All
were
over Europe.
unwanted.
All over Europe. And it's really harsh to say, but you said that Hitler was not always, what was it you said?
I'm assuming you mean anti-Semitic.
Yes.
Yeah, Hitler didn't. He wasn't born uh, disliking Jews. He wasn't born disliking Islam. He wasn't born disliking anyone. He became that for a reason.
So let's elaborate as to why, even for the simplest person, meaning um, just able to understand, make it just as simple, plain and simple as possible for most people to understand. Uh, Basically, as far as their governments, they tend to strip the resources in the as far as the economic system, and it hurts the countries very bad. Uh, would you like to explain it in a different manner?
Okay, the Jews were always a nomadic people. They traveled. That was the best way that they knew how to survive and the best version of their commerce. Usury was a huge part of it. Systems that involved interest, and they sucked the lifeblood out of economies where people had no room for survival. It was either you did or you didn't. And because of that, when the Jewish population arrived in their countries and essentially squatted there as illegal aliens, they were shunned. And it happened for over 500 years. It didn't stop them.
And the European, what is now European Union, decided the leading person was London, and they just wanted to get rid of them. So they decided to, I guess, ask them where they wanted to go, and they didn't ask the Palestinian people. They just decided, oh, this is great, and sent them there. They had a representative for the Palestinian people to speak up on their behalf, and the Hague was supposed to represent them legally. As far as I'm concerned, there was no representation, and considering that they were the people that was just placed there without the parties not agreeance to this, although they did accept them with open arms, they never made it where Palestinian even had a chance, and I figured they were either paid off and or just totally ignored. And to see that everyone in the country hasn't demanded from both their government and the UN to do what's right. As far as the UN, if they can't get rid of the countries that have broken international laws and reinstall democracy and hold these people accountable, refer them to the criminal courts through the Hague for international crimes to be enforced, I'm I feel they should just no longer exist, because talking to you blue in the face with just coming up with resolutions when you have the Nazi party like Russia, Putin's, and obviously Netanyahu, uh, neo-Nazi pretty much, um, in today's time, real time. And the really messed up thing about it is, I someone had to accept the fact that Everybody's just ignoring them. And what's going on right now is their Holocaust. And excuse me for my eyes looking puffy, but I've been crying. I'm really distraught, overwhelmed, and I feel like I can't even think of the term, but I feel hopeless because there's feels like there's nothing I can do. And to hear certain YouTubers from out the country um, panicking because of the threats that were made. Oh, also Israel, not even Israel. Also, keep in mind, Israel is a terrorist state. They are, in fact, a terrorist state. They have no business being even a government. Um, both Israel, um, neo-Nazi party, and terrorist state, along with Putin, neo-Nazi party and terrorist state, they are both in bed together, and it's very unfortunate that they work together on this. I don't believe anything about some Iran, this and that, personally. Um, this was totally 100% uh, Israel sacrificing people, and it was interesting because when they didn't get the response that they wanted, they then turned around and said that the babies' uh, heads were cut off. And all along, I thought, based off of the many lies that I saw after doing my first video, uh, I actually witnessed them doing things to intentionally stop my message from getting out. And they are very, very, both of them, very into propaganda, big time. So to avoid things in America, any democracy, or any good country, never allow this type of mentality into your television news or even your top um, positions in government. And I thank you for your time. We'll be updating.
The last part that I would mention is we need to return to a true democracy.
Yes, and I intend upon doing something, and I want everyone's support because I will be supporting the things that are needed for Republicans, which I love dearly. I felt that I had a bond with the Republican Party, and we all wanted the same thing, just our democracy back. Stop being overtaken by this um, infiltrated people that's in our top position. Uh, Blanky for one.
Okay, we're Lincoln. Okay,
Blinken.
We're not talking about American democracy. We're talking about world democracy. We're talking about the right for the people to vote. United Nations should not have any veto power.
Exactly.
If you want a true democracy,
exactly,
let's make it a true democracy. One man, one vote. It was something that was lost in our country somewhere along the way
because of the infiltration of people making it into your government in top positions, paying off other individuals. Thank you.
Let's find our way back to a true democracy.
Thank you very much, you guys.